I'm currently on a journey to learn JavaScript in just 30 days. I'm 1 week in. You may be asking yourself, how can someone learn JavaScript in just 30 days? Can I learn JavaScript in just 30 days? Yes, and I'm about to show you how right now here on the GoLoco Show. Stay tuned. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Jobin of the GoLoco Show. Hi, how are you doing? Now, for those who don't know what JavaScript is, it's basically the programming language of the web. With HTML and CSS, these three make up the core pillars of basically any website, web application that you use. For most websites, HTML is how you would build it, so giving it text, pictures, video, headers, all that. CSS is how you would style a website, basically giving it color, giving it margin, padding, making some text larger than others. JavaScript is what you would use to give a website its functionality, its interactive behavior. So for example, you could create a carousel slider to slide through pictures. You could create a hamburger drop-down style menu. You could play audio and video on a website. But JavaScript is also so much more versatile than that. Using JavaScript frameworks like React or Angular, you can create web applications such as Facebook, Netflix, LinkedIn, PayPal. These popular frameworks are actually a very coveted skill in the industry right now. JavaScript also doesn't have to be limited by just front-end work. You can also use it for back-end work, such as creating simple web servers or developing other back-end infrastructure. And you can even create browser games with JavaScript. JavaScript is just a very versatile language. So you may be wondering why I'm learning JavaScript at all. And I give a more detailed explanation in my video, in the video card above, my biggest regret as a computer engineering student. Basically, to summarize that video, I am documenting myself adding new skills to my repertoire so I can increase the amount of job opportunities I can apply to. JavaScript is not my first programming language, so I'm eager to see how this goes. So now you may be wondering, how can I even learn JavaScript in just 30 days? It's a whole programming language. Well, the way I'm currently learning JavaScript is by the GitHub repo 30 Days of JavaScript. This GitHub repo course was created by Azabene Y. Yetya. Basically, he's created a challenge course in which the challenge is to learn all of JavaScript in 30 days based on lessons he gives on each day. I must say, Azabene has said that you don't have to complete the course in 30 days. You can take as little or as much time as you want, even up to 100 days. Just go at your own pace. I personally am just trying to do it in the 30 days as the original challenge stated. Azabene also has 30-day courses for Python and React and a 10-day course for Git. If you're interested in 30 days of JavaScript or any of his other courses, links are in the description down below. For me, I picked 30 days of JavaScript as my way to teach myself JavaScript for a few reasons. One, I did not want to get stuck in tutorial hell and watch JavaScript video after JavaScript video, article after article. So by making it that it's 30 days and I have to document the process, I have to make sure that each of those days is worthwhile and that I'm actually getting something out of it. This way, as I'm documenting and learning, I'm keeping myself accountable to actually learn this skill. The other reason I picked 30 days of JavaScript is to have a more hands-on approach to learning, as each day ends with several exercises for coding to apply what I've learned on that day. I'll go more into that in just a second. Also, towards the end of the course, there are a bunch of mini projects and a final project to actually apply all the skills that I've learned. So in this way, I'm actually able to apply JavaScript in a more hands-on approach rather than just learning conceptually. If you're liking the video so far, make sure to boop that like button right now. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, let me show you how you can learn JavaScript in 30 days by looking at the 30 Days of JavaScript repo right now. And here we are on the 30 Days of JavaScript GitHub repo. I'm just going to give a quick walkthrough of the challenge course. So if you would like to follow along, again, link is down in the description down below. I'm just going to go real quick and show you what it's all about. As I did state, this challenge can be done in 30 days or it can be done in 100 days as Azabene has said right here. So basically, you can go through each day and each day introduces a different topic or a variety of topics. As you can see, day 1 is the introduction day, day 2 goes over data types, day 3 booleans, operators, and date, and so on and so forth. So if we scroll down, we'll see the link to each README file for each day. So let's just go to day 1 just so you can follow along. So here's day 1 of 30 days of JavaScript. you see all these links. You can go to any part of each lesson. So as you can see here, it wants us to install Node.js. It wants us to use Google Chrome as our browser of choice. It wants us to use Visual Studio Code. I actually recommend Visual Studio Code as well, as you can implement live server, which can give you live updates to what you're doing for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. Basically, each one of these days is going to have a lesson. So as we continue to scroll down, as you can see, this day is actually how to add JavaScript to a web page through either inline script, internal script, external script, or multiple external scripts. And at the end of each day, you're going to have your exercises. For day 1, there's no level 1, level 2, or level 3. However, it's still the same concept. You take what you've learned and you actually write code to answer these problems. And I skipped over to day 4 so you can see that each day has a level 1 exercise, level 2, level 3, each getting progressively harder. Level 1 is basically your basic rundown of what you just learned. Level 2, you might have to reference the material above to try and figure out how to solve these. And level 3 is basically usually 1 or 2 problems where it's going to be a long program basically implementing every single part of the above lesson into one single exercise. I recommend that you go through these. Going through this exercise is going to make you remember how to use JavaScript even more than just reading or writing down notes. And I believe this is an efficient way to learn JavaScript or any other skill language just in general. Learn and apply. Going back to the main page of 30 Days of JavaScript, as you can see, each day has a different topic. And basically from day 24 all the way to day 30, you're going to have many projects, which is going to be basically a bigger version of the exercises I just showed you. And if English is not your first language, don't worry. 30 Days of JavaScript has been translated into a variety of different languages, such as Italian, Korean, Russian, Spanish, Vietnamese. You get the gist. Basically, this is going to be a resource that's open to everyone because 1, it's on GitHub, so it's free, but 2, it'll be easier to learn for those who might not know English as well but might know one of these languages better. And that's 30 Days of JavaScript in a nutshell. If you would like to support Azabennett directly, you can click this link, which is on the first page of 30 Days of JavaScript. It'll take you to his PayPal and you can support him monetarily. Either way, let's go back right over here. And there you have it, 30 Days of JavaScript. As you can see, it's a great and free resource for anyone from beginners to advanced level JavaScript users to use, whether you're a beginner who's just learning their first programming language or an advanced user who wants to see how fast they can get through this challenge. Either way, I believe it's one of the best resources to actually learn and ingrain how to use JavaScript. Currently, as I said, I'm only 1 week in, so how's that week been? So far, I've been brushing up on a lot of fundamentals of programming languages in general, whether that be loops, functions, variables. These first few days are definitely for those beginners who are just starting their programming journey and are choosing JavaScript as their first language. However, I believe it is key to relearn these fundamentals because depending on the syntax, some things may be different to other programming languages and how you create things later on. So, for the most part, I've known most of the concepts here and there, but a lot of the syntax is what I'm trying to ingrain right now in terms of learning JavaScript. And during this first week, I've basically done most of the exercises for the 30 Days of JavaScript thus far. They definitely make you think and definitely try to make you remember how these things work. Some JavaScript users who may be a little bit more intermediate to advanced level, these exercises, especially early on, might not be as useful. However, for me, who's just learning the language, it's essential for me to actually learn how to use JavaScript in a practical form. So these exercises have been great. These exercises actually make you think and actually make you need to remember what you just learned. And that is something that I really like. Now, are there any things I don't like or some things I would criticize? Not really. I would say one thing is that the pacing of the actual lessons can be very inconsistent. For example, if I remember correctly, I think day 2 had many topics in it and it had many exercises on top of those topics. And on other days, such as the conditional day, which I believe is either day 4 or day 5, it was a very brief lesson and didn't have as many exercises from what I remember. So if there's one thing I could criticize, it might be that some days feel longer than other days, though in general that's just how life is. Some days are harder, some days are easier, though I'd wish there was much more consistency in the length of the actual lessons, especially early on. As I stated before, I'm documenting my journey throughout these 30 days of JavaScript. Just go to jgoco.com/blogs and you can scroll down to the 30 days of JavaScript section. There you can see me trying to reteach the 30 days JavaScript lessons and giving some of my thoughts about them. So that's my 1 week update on my journey to learning JavaScript in just 30 days. This journey has been amazing so far, and I can't wait to update you once I reach day 30 and finally learn JavaScript. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I hope you love the content you've seen here today. If you want to know the best way to prepare for coding interviews, I made a video about it right here. I discussed the best resource that I believe you can use to ace that coding interview, and best of all, it's free. Now, wherever and whenever you are, I hope you have an amazing day. Peace out. Signing out.